Welcome to another episode of DB and Steve Sports Thoughts. I am DB.
I am Steve.
Today we're going to be talking about dodgeball.
So let me paint a picture for you. It's a 60-foot by 30-foot floor. You got 6 balls in front of you. You got 6 players on each side with the goal chucking the ball as hard as you can at the opposing players to take them out.
Okay, well, that's definitely interesting. That definitely reminds me of gym back in high school and in middle school.
Back in the days, if you remember the big red solid balls that had the diamond shapes, that if it pelted you in the face,
You felt it.
And you felt it.
Oh, yeah. Well, isn't that there's a rule against it? You're not allowed to hit somebody in the face. Aren't you automatically out if you throw the ball at somebody's face?
On purpose. It's definitely a...
Yeah, well, it's a judgment call. Like, if it's on purpose, you're out. But if it's not on purpose, and you...
So, the thing about dodgeball is, again, going back, we think about, elementary school, middle school, maybe even a little bit of high school, where we're just, throwing it at our friends or, to be frank, enemies, trying to get them out. You always had the players that just... They didn't care if they got hit. They just walk up the side because they didn't want to play. Then you had the people that are way too into it, that are diving, jumping, flipping, trying to get the ball, trying to catch it. And then you just had other people that were just average. Now, imagine if you have 6 people on each side. It's really 10 because you're allowed 4 substitutes.
Yeah.
Imagine if you have 6 players that can chuck a ball with spin, and mind you, for those that haven't played dodgeball, the ball it's a ball. It's like a kickball, and you have professional players that can throw it at top speeds of between 80 and 85 miles per hour. If you think about it, that's AAA baseball pitcher speeds.
Yeah, but there's people crazy enough to stand on the other end of that and try to catch them.
That is true.
So but there, from what I saw, there's a neutral zone. There's like 4 feet, 2 on each side of the middle, where you're actually now like really cross pass. You have to, like, if you go there, you have to kind of get out of there right away, or you can be called out.
Correct.
Okay.
So you're not allowed to throw the ball in that 4 by 30 section. You have to bring it out past what they call the attack line and bring it back.
Yep, you have to bring it back court. So almost like if you were playing like one-ended, like one side court basketball. So you got to bring it out to bring it in.
Correct.
Okay. Oh, so that's pretty cool. Like, at least it's got a set of rules. You can't just go up to the front line, grab a ball, and chuck it at somebody.
Well, that's actually it. They have players come in that their sole purpose is to go get the ball, bring it back to their team, then they have to get off the court. They're no longer in play.
Those are chasers, right?
Correct.
Okay, that's what I was reading up on and everything else. I saw that. The chasers go in and everything else. And from what I saw, there was 2 different size balls. You have 4 big balls, and then you have 2 smaller 5-inch balls.
Really?
Yes, that are like kind of like the smaller versions of those bigger balls, so that you can actually whip them a little bit faster. So they actually throw those ones faster. Those are for the strikers. So
you have the strikers and the chasers, right? So
yeah.
2 strikers and 4 chasers, if I recall.
Yep, but all of them play. All of them can catch and everything else. The chasers can still play, but their sole purpose is to go up and get those balls. Like, they are still around to catch the ball and everything else, but they're giving them to their strikers to throw, because their strikers have stronger arms.
Exactly. And you would think that, well, what's the big deal? I mean, anybody could be a professional dodgeball player. All you got to do is stand in the back and dodge a ball. But no, it's surprising how much of a team sport it really is. Like, they actually have maneuvers, the practices where the strikers have to be in certain locations. So it's almost like you have the defenders up front protecting the strikers, almost like a shield. It's like a battle formation.
It's almost like the penalty kicks or like the inbound kicks for soccer per se. Like when they make those longer kicks, and you have that row of four guys that stand there that try to like get in the way, but these guys are purposely trying to get in the way. They're actually going to jump up and maneuver to put their body in front of a ball going 80 miles an hour at them.
Purposely.
Purposely.
So, and actually, it's strange how dodgeball actually started. It started about 200 years ago in Africa. See, we think of it, yeah, it's a fun game. You dodge a ball. Africa, it was a little bit different. There were different tribes that actually played the game in a much deadlier fashion. Instead of a ball or anything like that, they actually used stones, rocks, boulders.
Oh, let's throw a rock! Throw a rock! Yes!
Yeah, throwing stones. They were trying to stone their opponents. And so what they would do, they would throw the stones. If it hit someone, the goal was to incapacitate them. So they would continue to throw stones at that player rather than, that person being out. And the goal of the rest of the tribesmen or the team would to be protect that fallen person and help them get up or help them get out of the way so they wouldn't be killed. So it actually brought it was actually meant to show teamwork, how to protect your own in skirmishes when fighting other tribes.
Oh, well, I could see that. It could be like a battle, like testing it, like thing where you're only using rock, so you're really not gonna cause too much damage as long as you help each other out. Like you can protect each other for the most part.
I wouldn't want to be around that time. Like,
no, I wouldn't want to play that either. I wouldn't want to play and have a rock thrown at me. It almost goes to that dodgeball mentality of the movie Dodgeball, the underdog story and everything else. Where if you can dodge a bowling ball pin, you can dodge a dodgeball.
Dodge a wrench.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a dodgeball.
Now, can you dodge a boulder? Can you dodge a rock being thrown at you?
It's not coming as hard at you, though. You have to think, like, those rocks and those boulders are probably not as light as these balls are.
That is true, but if you get hit with a rock the size of your fist, it's probably doing more damage than if you're getting hit by...
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Like, you're not getting hit by a big giant rock, you're getting hit by a rubber ball. So, it is still better. But that rubber ball, that whole, like, sudden, like, stopping and bouncing off your face, the amount of more pressure that actually puts onto your face and everything else is more ridiculous than just getting popped in the face by a solid object that's moving you. Because your face is absorbing most of that before you move and everything else. A rock's got more of the weight where you're getting hit, you're getting knocked down. Where that rubber ball, it's hitting you, you're feeling every little last second of it and it leaving. At least with the rock, you get that initial knock and then you're done, you're out. That rubber ball, you're feeling the whole thing bounce in and out.
There is such thing as rubber burn.
Oh,
you
yeah.
Get hit and you get that red all over the face just from the
rubber just sliding across it. Yeah. Uh-huh. Or the
So
welts in the stomach because you caught a 90-mile-an-hour rubber ball to the gut. Yeah, you caught it, but damn, did that hurt. Did it feel like somebody just stood back and kicked you?
I just couldn't even imagine. Imagine taking a baseball to the gut, and now you have this bigger object that's just coming at you. And when I say 80 to 85 miles per hour, I'm not kidding.
Oh no,
back in high school or middle school, whenever we played it, what would you say? 15 miles an hour, maybe?
No, bullshit. I knew guys that you did not want to stand on the other end of that on the other end of the court, there are guys in my grade that you looked at and you're like, nope, not happening. You pitch for the high school team. Nope, not happening.
But they're not getting above 50 miles an hour with a dodgeball. One, because our hands weren't big enough. You couldn't actually grab the hand. Like, these guys are palming the ball.
Yeah.
Trucking it.
One of the guys that I've played with and everything else, he was 6'6". His hand span was big enough to palm the kickballs.
So you take that now. Again, just like the professional tennis players, they can create spin. So the ball, they shoot it this, towards your right, and it actually comes back to the left.
Yeah, but there's actually a penalty. You're not allowed to squish the balls and make them out of shape for when you're throwing them, and by squeezing them down too tightly. So you're allowed to grip it, but you can't grip it super tight where you actually deform the shape of the kickball.
Now, what do you think that does by deforming the ball?
It gives it a different kind of spin. So if something happens with the air, it's the same thing with like putting threads on it. That's why it's no seams. So there's less for the air to actually grab onto to give it that rotation that you're looking for, like what you get with like a wiffle ball, a baseball, a softball. Because those seams on those balls actually deflect the air. So they actually create the spin for you to give you that up and down, right and left motion. Where a kickball doesn't really have that. It has the dimples, so it's a whole different kind of like drop effect.
So if, let's say you were on a dodgeball team.
Yep.
What would be...
I'd be a chaser.
What would your strategy be?
No, I'd be winding up being a chaser. I'd be getting the ball at the beginning and trying to get the hell out of the way. I'm a short guy.
But do you think there is a specific strategy?
Don't get hit with the ball.
That's
that's really what kind of other strategy? You are literally pinned into this 30-foot area. Where are you supposed to go?
Well, this is my question. Do you spread out? You have 30 feet across the lane. Do you spread out so you have 6 people, and it can be gender neutral, but you have to have 2 of the same gender?
It all depends on what league you're in, because there are leagues where you can have an all-male team or an all-female team.
Correct, but if at least in the United States professional league,
in the pro league, you have to have 2 and 2. League,
if it is a multi-gender, you have to have a minimum of 2.
Isn't that just the start?
2 guys and then 2. I'm sorry.
Is that just to start the game? Because that's what I read. It was to start the game. It is not per se to like finish the game. You have to start that game. There is a way to have with the substitutions but you have to have those at the beginning of the half or the beginning of the game before they come in. They can't have it in the middle of play. Like, it has to be done before the match starts, since the matches are, 5 minutes long?
Well, until everybody's out, yeah.
I bet you they're not that long. I bet you with the amount of balls flying around, there's 6 balls in flight at all times. So, because you can't stall on the ball, you can actually be called out for stalling on the actual play. No, not called out, you lose the ball. The other team, where you have to give it back to the other team.
Yeah. So so going back to your strategy, along that, would you have the 6 people standing away from each other trying to single it out, or would you have 4 together, your 4 chasers, and then your 2 strikers behind? That way, if somebody does get hit, there's a better chance that it bounces up and somebody catches it.
You could have. That's where you start having formations. That's where it kind of where dodgeball kind of takes for a little bit from everybody. They have basketball. They have a little bit of soccer in there, depending on how they set up and how they put it themselves into formations. And the same thing probably goes with how when they're waiting for, let's say the other team has all the balls and they have none. They're probably going to get into more of a volleyball formation than they would do anything else. That way they're at least spaced out, but there's enough space in between them where they can cover each and everybody when a ball is thrown. But I haven't seen too much on it. I haven't been able to watch many videos on it yet. Like, I've been going back and forth with that and everything else.
It's impressive. I've seen a few videos, again, not a lot, but it's impressive. Not only the speed, but the strategy behind it.
Oh, yeah.
I would think that being shorter as a chaser would probably be better. You know, you have less of a target.
Yeah, well, that's what I figured. That's why I said I'd most likely be a chaser. If I was winding up being on a team, I'd be told what to do, but other than that, I'd be a chaser probably. I'd be going up there, getting the ball, getting the hell out, and maybe making a throw here and there, or making a catch here and there just so I don't get out, but for the most part, being a chaser.
I found it really surprising how many teams there actually are in the league currently.
Yeah, I saw that there's something like 18 teams. There's a team in Boston, team in New York. Boston, I saw were the Undertakers, which I thought was really cool.
I'm surprised there's not a Las Vegas team, to be honest with you.
I thought there was. I thought I saw a Las Vegas team.
Was there? I don't recall seeing that, but I think that would be a fun sport to go watch live.
They have a Men in Black, so I almost want to guarantee you. Nope, they have the Las Vegas Vipers.
Vipers.
Yep.
That is my team. The Las Vegas Vipers. I got to continue on with my Las Vegas fandom.
Yeah, no, I'd have to be the Boston Undertakers then, because Boston. New York Epic, I don't know if I could do that. Georgia Scorchers, oof. Texas Shade. See, I would think like Chicago Vendetta.
The San Diego Crossfire. Yeah, it's
Seattle Bulldogs.
It's amazing where, I mean, obviously this isn't a usually it's not a full professional. They do get prizes, but
oh yeah.
Imagine being like your regular day job. You're working in an office or you're working on a car, and in the evening you're flying to Boston to go play dodgeball professionally. I think that's an awesome thing to do. And even better, the athleticism. I have watched a few videos where it's not like they just jump in the air like we did as kids. Like, they're doing almost aerobatics, gymnastic style maneuvers to dodge this ball, matrix style. And I know it's kind of a joke because everyone thinks of the movie.
Oh yeah, well they laugh at it because the movie was meant to be like lighthearted. Like, they didn't do just like the right thing for that. Like, they made it like a comedy where they're trying to give light to the subject, light onto the subject, not per se say this is exactly what it was all about. So like, I get where like what they were trying to do. That's why they put based on the true story of the start of the dodgeball.
So now there's one thing that we didn't bring up. That's normal dodgeball. There are a lot of different types of dodgeball.
Oh yeah.
One of them that I think is amazing to watch. I haven't seen it on TV. I've only seen it on YouTube. It's dodgeball, but the entire court is made of trampolines.
Oh, they play it on in the jump parks.
Correct.
Yeah.
And not only is it flat, they have angled walls, which are trampolines as well. So they'll jump on the angle, flip around with the ball, and just heave it as fast as they can.
Oh yeah.
So imagine being 10 feet in the air, trying to dodge a ball, or doing flips and shucking. It's so much fun just to watch it. I don't think they have professional leagues.
They probably don't have professional leagues for that, But you have to think of all the liabilities that you can have with that. Just because, like, you're jumping around on these trampoline parks, yet there is metal somewhere around there making those springs so you can jump up and down and everything else like that. Add throwing balls at people. People getting then twisted around in midair and falling the wrong way. Like, that's as much as I like dodgeball, like, you gotta be able to have your footing. And even then, you still get wiped out pretty bad if you get hit good.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine you're jumping on the trampoline, you jump a little too far forward, and you land on that divider.
Or say you're coming down, you land on a ball.
Ooh, that's even worse. Yeah.
Like like you have no control of that. You're gonna break something. If something is going to just be an absolute catastrophic kind of like failure, and it's just not gonna be fun.
Would you go and play for fun if they had?
Oh, if they had a league, hell yeah, I would go play for fun. They'd probably have one around in this area somewhere. I'd go play just because it'd be fun. It'd be exercise. It would be a lot of it's cardio, and cardio is really good for you, even at my age. It's probably better than.
You're gonna have that one person that's gonna go try to take it way too far, chuck the ball at 60 miles an hour at your face.
Oh yeah, of course. That's that. But see, for me, that's nothing new. I remember that kind of stuff all the time. Pissing people off all the time. They would want to chuck it at my face.
I'm sure there's some listeners out there that would love to join a league with you.
Oh, I bet they would love to be able to line up and throw a ball at my face or at me, somehow hit me with a rubber ball. I would not doubt it.
No, what they got to do is, do you know it's a on-ground skydiving, which is there's just this huge air tunnel where you suit up.
Oh, okay. You're talking about like you're doing like you actually do go do that when you're preparing for your verification for solo jumping and everything else. You have to actually go to those places to have so many hours in there before they actually let you jump by yourself.
Correct. So imagine doing that, combining that with dodgeball. So
that would be kind of cool, but guess what? You would never hit anybody.
Just because the ball would shoot straight
just
up.
As soon as you let go of that ball is not going in the direction you were throwing it. That ball, it's going to play that effect of you're falling at terminal velocity. It weighs a lot less than you, is a lot less denser than you, and that thing's getting shot up because those fans are spinning really fast.
But imagine it's kind of like Pong. You throw the ball downwards at such a velocity against it, and then it comes back up in an arc and tries to hit the other person from underneath.
Yeah, so and then what happens when if you throw it wrong and it comes right back up at you? All right, that's very dangerous because you are throwing it at a force, so it's going to be going at a force that's going to be pushing against another force and then ricocheting back up at you. Yeah, that sounds like I'm good. Do
better. That's your goal.
Do better. This sounds like the worst game of butt ball ever.
Yeah, right.
All right, instead of a tennis ball, I'm using a big rubber kickball, throwing it down into a big giant fan and trying to not get hit by it. Yeah.
Well, I bring that up because there really is so many different styles of dodgeball, and we were watching again ESPN the Ocho, and that's going to come up a lot in this show.
Well, ESPN the Ocho, they cover like a lot of the off-end kind of sports, kind of like what we're trying to go and cover. So it works out. Like, so we'll be definitely checking it out. I'll have to check it out a lot more. I don't check out Ocho enough.
Last time that they had the Ocho special, they had the cherry pit spinning contest. They had the rock skipping contest. Those style of sports. But one of the most fun to watch for me personally was juggling dodgeball, where one side had dodgeballs, and their goal was to the other side, the other 6 players on the opposite side were juggling three pins.
So they gotta try to knock the pins out of the air.
Correct.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's definitely aim and stuff, as long as they're not aiming at the guys trying to juggle, because that's really distracting.
Exactly.
Some poor juggler is going to get knocked the hell out because he's just going to be up there like this, and the next thing he's going to notice is that kickball's coming up square to his chin, and his ass is laid out backwards.
No, it seemed like that they were definitely trying to throw at the balls above their head or the pins. And it was kind of cool how they were doing it, is that every time a ball was going up, they would launch one of the balls in the air and just kind of juggle two in a row. That ball would be launched in the air, and the whole thing was trying to catch that third ball and going right back into it.
Yeah.
I can't juggle with nothing throwing at me. I can't even imagine trying to juggle and throw the balls at the same time.
Oh, God, it's never going to happen. Not for me. I can't juggle for shit. Like, I could imagine doing this and then just being like, yep, I'm going to get fucked up. This is going to suck. I couldn't imagine being like, what happens if he doesn't like me? All right, if he really doesn't like me, or what happens if I slept with his sister and his sister's really pissed off at me? All right, is he really going to be aiming for those balls, or is he just going to take the best cheap shot in the world because my head's up and I definitely ain't going to see anything below my chin down to about here? So you're screwed either way you go.
Well, I think that's like Rule 306 in dodgeball is don't sleep with your own sister and you won't have a problem.
Yeah, I could see that. There's probably like 100,000 different rules for it, but every place they said has a different set of rules. So you're always told to check out your local areas and make sure you know their rules before you start trying to like learn everything.
So it would be a lot of fun to almost come up with your own dodgeball. So we were talking about juggling. We were talking about normal, regular dodgeball. We were talking about middle school dodgeball, which is, a free for all. Whoever goes to yourself. And with trampolines, is there another style of dodgeball that you would want to do just for fun?
Oh,
that you can think of off the top of your head.
Oh yeah, you've always got like a jet ski. Put dodgeballs in your hands and jet ski around and try to knock people off jet skis with dodgeballs.
How many crashes would that cause of two people running into each other?
Oh God, you would have to make the court way bigger. It would have to be like the size of a football court. And play it 50-50.
Now, what if you combine dodgeball and tag, and to your point, so to prevent people from crashing into each other, so you have two jet skis in a specific area, in a fairly large area. One jet ski player has a ball, the other person is trying to get away from him, and so it's just a 1v1. The thrower has to hit the person who's trying to get away, and the person's throwing. Obviously, if they miss, they have to go get the ball.
Obviously. Well, there's going to be lots of misses. I would say 2v2. I would never do 1v1.
2v2?
2v2 at least. That way you at least have a variant in there.
And that would be interesting, too. I mean, you could combine that with almost every single sport. Snowboarding, skiing.
Oh yeah, you can almost add it to anything, just because you have to have the hand-eye coordination though to be able to hold onto a ball, throw a ball, and then whatever else you're doing, being able to concentrate on that also.
Know what would be fun? Dodgeball on ice. So take the Boston Bruins. They split it into two teams. Boston Bruins being an NHL hockey team. You split them into two teams. The red line to the blue line is your neutral area on both sides.
That's a really big neutral area.
But they're on ice.
Yeah, they are on ice.
You have your blue line to the goal line is your attack area.
That would be crazy. Who wants Zendaya?
He's probably one of the first people out, to be honest with you.
Why? Just because of his size?
That's because of his size. Because all you have to do is hit their skate or their leg, and they're out.
Yeah, but again, you get him the ball first, so you really gonna want to stand on the other side of that man throwing a ball at you.
I'm standing behind the goalie. That's
all right, because all right, he's got a ridiculous slap shot. I don't want to know his arm strength throwing a kickball.
Would you rather? Okay. Sports thoughts. Would you rather have a QB on your team in dodgeball or a pitcher?
QB, because he knows how to handle big balls better. But don't bump.
So you think that they would have a better aim, better spiral than a pitcher who's used to a small, baseball?
Well, pitcher would be more of the guy you want as that striker. But for the more aggressive around, kind of more of a basketball player, because they handle the biggest balls out of all of them, and they palm that shit.
So that's up for discussion now. So do you want a guy like Shaquille O'Neal, who literally could, two fingers take that ball and whip it across as a striker?
No, I want Kawhi Leonard. Because he's got the arm span and he's probably got the arm strength to whip a ball at you ridiculously.
How tall is he?
Kawhi Leonard, I want to say 6'2".
So a medium, or a relatively medium, average sized person.
Yeah, average, just above average would probably be the best way to describe that, because that's probably what Kawhi is. Let me check. I don't know how tall he is. No.
I kind of want to go play dodgeball right now. No, I definitely think dodgeball on ice would be a lot of fun.
Dodgeball
dangerous.
On ice. I think it'd be dangerous, because it'd be dangerous, but it would definitely be interesting. Because how do you jump? All right, you don't really jump in hockey. You don't jump over people on a regular basis. So all you gotta do is throw at the skates. How often are you gonna jump without trying to get messed up?
Skaters can jump high. They're so comfortable on their skates.
Oh yeah.
I could jump over players, because when they're sliding into the net, I would have to jump over them.
Yeah, in awkward positions though. When you're moving forward, jumping, and then landing and sliding forward, that's easy. Now stopping, and then jumping on skates, or landing, having to land on one foot compared to both your skates. Alright, I did rollerblading for years, man. I did aggressive inline. Landing two skates on the wheel on the ground perfectly is not the easiest thing in the world.
So let's switch it up. Instead of hockey players, get figure skaters who they're so good, so nimble on their feet, being able to do those jumps. That would be fun to watch.
The guys would, but the girls would. You would have to get those double athletes.
Oh yeah.
For the males to be your strikers then, because they would be the only ones who actually had the proper upper strength to whip a ball at somebody to get them out. Because throwing around 120 pounds and catching 120 pounds flying at you with razor blades is probably not the easiest thing in the world to do. So you definitely want them being able to catch the ball and throw the ball.
Yeah. Yeah. Now there's definitely many women out there that can chuck it at speeds that you or I would never be able to even manage. But I hear what you're saying, especially with the professional figure skaters and stuff. But that would be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. Let's see, quiet and small footworks. Ha! I was so far off. Listed height 6'7".
Little too large.
He's definitely he's a beast, but I would still take him. 6'7". He's quick. 6'7", still considered kind of just a league average.
Yeah, but again, you throw it at his ankles.
He's gonna
And
jump too hard. Like, really, like you have to anticipate how high this man can jump and be able to land and catch. Because again, he plays with big balls all the time, heavier, bigger balls.
that is true. That is true.
And he has to catch those from passes from other people and all that stuff. So, and I guarantee you, they probably have like a heavy ball that they throw back and forth in between each other to like toughen themselves up on catching big, bulky balls.
You know who I would love to have on my team? If I were a captain of a dodgeball team, I wouldn't mind having the U.S. volleyball team.
U.S. volleyball?
The U.S. women's volleyball team. Have you seen them? It is impressive because it wouldn't just be throwing. They can pinpoint a target ridiculously, consistently. And there's no rules that say you have to throw it. You can do whatever you want as long as it's aimed at a certain person and not deforming the ball, as you said.
Yeah. Well, but again, most volleyball players, how often do they catch a ball?
Even if they're not catching the ball, they're the strikers.
Yeah, but you can't just hit the ball out of midair and hit it back at somebody. I do believe you have to make a form of a catch for it. So if the other person moves out of the way, you hit the ball and it hits the floor, you're out.
But, okay. But now you have the volleyball team who are so good at setting. So somebody throws a ball, they set it up, and the other person just catches it like it's normal.
Yeah, they could do that. That would be definitely a good way to like mix and match your thing. That's why there's the average Joes that play a lot of the dodgeball, because you have to be more proficient and well-rounded to play dodgeball than you have for per se like baseball, basketball, football, baseball, that kind of stuff. Like you have a set of skills for each of those things that are designated for those sports, where volleyball, like dodgeball, you intertwine so many different sports to make this one sport. It's the best way to look at it. Like, and that's what makes it nice and unique and everything. But hey, it works.
It does.
Like I said, it's fun to whip ball. Like, it's a lot of fun when you're with your friends and you're like throwing everything, all your will at them, and you're just taking out frustration on each other. And you're both having a good time about it. So hey, it's all that matters.
So, talking about aggression and getting out a lot of the aggression, there's a sport that is fairly new, and we don't have a lot of information on it, but it's professional tag.
Professional? Yeah, I've been reading up about that. Like, the Watt brothers are going to bring a lot of, like, if they can keep them involved in the actual president of setting this all up, I think they'll be just fine, just because those guys are so well marketed.
So it's one of those things, and it's again amazing how they take kid sports, the things that we did when we were younger, and make them into actual professional sports. And if you haven't had a chance to actually watch professional tag, it's not just
it's American Gladiators without balls being thrown at you.
Exactly. Like it's kind of a mixture of tag and parkour.
Yeah, I was seeing some of like the action on that. That's pretty sick on how they like go around and all that stuff. And I know the Watt brothers actually did an episode where it was them against the actual guys that do the catching, because they have like the pro catchers, and then you're against the normal athletes.
So this started back in 2017, and
17? I thought it was 18. It might have been 17.
It's one of those, but it's new. It's
really
sport.
New.
Me personally am not a fan of the rules. It's a 20-second chase. and after 20 seconds, um, if the person that's the taggee
Yeah.
doesn't catch, or the tagger doesn't catch the taggee gets a point, and vice versa. The tagger catches, then they get a point. But it's only 20 seconds. I would have a much longer time limit.
Well, they might. They're probably gonna make it like have longer time limits. They're probably working out all the bugs. But I thought it was more of like, it's not even like true tag because you have to grab a flag. That's on them. So it's more like flag. It's almost like flag football, but it's tag.
Now, there's definitely two different styles. I've seen that one exactly what you're talking about, but then there's one where it's legit just tag. The flags, I would say, would be more difficult.
Oh,
much
yeah.
more difficult because you're going for a much smaller target.
Yeah, true.
But in my mind, I would definitely do either a longer time limit or more than just 1v1. Because once you have the strategy of if you had a 2v2,
yeah,
it's more entertaining because there's definitely some people that are so much more talented that they're never going to be caught.
Oh yeah, well that's why I think they have those pro taggers and everything else. But.
Correct. So it's a lot to look, but it's amazing the games nowadays that what we thought were just children's games.
Oh, everything that's being turned and monopolized and all that stuff. If you can make a quick buck off of it, if you can get a couple people watching it, and you can make some money, go for it.
Now, you mentioned buttball. I guarantee somewhere there's a professional buttball league.
Oh yeah, but that was just crazy because that was just brutal. Like standing up, lining up, having a tennis ball whipped at your ass if you got caught with the ball or it hitting the ground or whatever. I don't even remember all the crazy ass rules that thing had. Like, it was nuts.
Do you remember the game Pickle?
Yeah.
So, Pickle, there's two bases. There's one person that's running base to base, and there's the two throwers where they're throwing a ball back and forth, and it's just like what you would see in professional baseball. Is that
it's playing Pickle.
And the objective is the person who's running is to reach the other base without getting tagged.
Yeah.
Make that into professional sport.
They do enough of that kind of crazy thing. All right, that's like watching what's that show? It's an obstacle course show, but it's all about you fall. You're guaranteed wipeout.
Oh yes.
All right.
Wipeout.
All right. The people do that. All right. That's insane. Like, would you subject yourself to trying to like get through that course to win $10,000? Some of that, like, for fun, yeah, maybe I try to do it. But, like, just think, like, some of those, like, that's 15 minutes of grueling through mud, whatever kind of, like, thing they add to the water, and then fresh water, bouncing off rubber balls, not just small balls, big balls, getting punched in the face with like, boxing gloves as you're crossing a wall. All right. And looking for a chance to win $10,000,
which in the grand scheme of things is not a lot after the whole taxes and everything, but that's beyond the point.
Yeah, so it's not even really a professional sport, but yet people line up to get on these shows.
I think it's just going back to human nature of just wanting to succeed at these crazy, unlikely challenges.
Yeah, they're 15 seconds worth of fame.
Yeah. So, while you were mentioning that, I'm kind of going back in time, back to Dodgeball real second. The original Dodgeball that we don't really think of is Gladiators.
Oh,
now,
yes.
When I was younger and
American Gladiators.
Exactly. When I was like 5 or 6 years old, they had this one game where there were obstacles that you would have to go and get flagged or whatnot.
Yep.
And then the Gladiator is up on a pedestal in the front with one of those giant tennis ball shooting guns.
Yep.
And they were just aiming at this person to try to peg them. And
Yep.
if they got pegged, the person
person's
was out.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Now that is a sport.
The one where they did it around with actually putting the balls into the barrels.
Correct. It's like a cannon. It's a
Well,
ball.
no, they actually what you're talking about, American Gladiators. They had one of the versions of one of their actual competitions that they did and all that stuff. Was they had 6 barrels on the outside and I think 2 or 3 in the middle. And the ones in the middle were worth more, and the Gladiators had to stop them from putting foam-sized balls into, or kickballs into the actual barrels.
Oh, that is right.
And they would run
That is
around.
right.
But I know which one you're talking about, that obstacle. They stood up on top of the pedestal, and they pretty much, it's a ball launcher. And that's what they are shooting at you. And you get they go up to the different stop at each obstacles, and they try to shoot the different things at the bullseye above the target on them. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's one of the final stages that they used to do on American Gladiator before the run.
So now that's another version of Dodgeball-esque.
Oh, it's definitely another version of Dodgeball-esque style. Well, we're going to sit up here. We're going to launch tennis balls at you. Good luck and don't get hit.
And I don't want to get too far off topic because I definitely think we could have a full talk about American Gladiators easily.
We can definitely bring it into something else from there. Like, we can definitely talk about Gladiators another time.
But we were talking about people who, why would they want to go and try to do these things where they're likely, like Wipeout, they're lining up to do something that they're likely not going to win. If you watch American Gladiators, there's the average Joe that's just running. They're not that big usually. And they're facing these Goliaths.
Oh yeah,
you're going up against these people. Why would you even do it?
Oh yeah. Well, that's because again they want to be able to say they beat those Gladiators too.
I don't know about you, but I don't want a tennis ball. I don't care who you are. A tennis ball that hits them. Yeah, they had those pads, but this was back in the day where it was those thin little pads that really didn't do much. Where if you got pegged in the head, and there was episodes where they actually were, and you see the person wavering, might have a concussion back before the concussion protocol was actually a thing.
Oh come on, the joust. All right, let's go stand up on pedestals and slap each other with sticks. Yes, they've got foam on each end. Yeah, he can bench press 500 pounds. He's whipping that at my head. What are you thinking? That's still gonna hurt. I don't care how much foam you have on there. I don't care if it can protect me all you want. There's still a rod somewhere in the middle of that. It's gonna hurt. Not as much, but it's still gonna hurt.
Imagine taking and most people have seen Game of Thrones or something like that, the Mountain, and I apologize, I can't pronounce his full name, but the Mountain.
Well, stick with the Mountain Man because his full name is ridiculous. It's just easier to call him the Mountain. I know exactly who you were talking about. The man is a world strongman.
Strongman. Could you imagine going up and he's one of the Gladiators and he's sitting up there either chucking a ball at you, launching a ball at you, or, as you mentioned, has a giant Q-tip in his hand, and his entire goal is to knock you off? No.
Well, that's where you start getting, and that's like a whole nother topic in itself. Because strongmen, they're not there. They're not. Most strongmen aren't the fancy type that you're going to market per se, because they are not always the most flashy, best looking guys in the world. where you don't get to market that very well. Where you can market like the Gladiators, or now with the pro taggers and all that stuff, you can promote them more about a sex appeal than you can bodybuilders. Not every bodybuilder or strongman is built like a typical person. Some strongmen, you would never guess that they can lift what they can lift, because they don't.
Or vice versa.
Or vice versa, yeah.
Ed Hall is just a large, impressive man. Yeah, but regardless, to say, Gladiators are not one that I would want to go up against.
Oh, no way.
For fun.
No way. Even with like a lot of those pro taggers that they have, because a lot of those pro taggers are all They're all the parkour guys, the older parkour guys that have been running around doing obstacles, flipping over stuff, and picking a free line because they're free runners. They're the best at running around the top. They can see the gaps before they even hit them, especially if they're on them a lot.
Now you combine the two. Actually, you've seen those tag courses, and if you haven't seen professional tag, please look them up on YouTube. It is impressive.
Oh yeah.
But imagine combining the two, parkour, dodgeball.
Yeah, without having to like throw a ball at somebody, you're still avoiding other teams and everything else like that. So it comes out really well, because sometimes it's 2-1. I think I saw a part of it with it being like a 2-1 kind of thing, where it was two taggers versus two chasers versus one guy trying to avoid being tagged.
So that's impressive.
Yeah.
You would just corner them.
Yeah, but eventually you only have the 20 seconds, you've got ways in and out of every situation. You would have to be able to actually find a place where you could corner them, because most of their obstacles are all kind of in a circular spot. Yeah, they have square areas, but nothing where you get put into like a corner.
No, understood. And one thing that we don't really think about is that there's leagues all over that we just don't know about. I guarantee in Connecticut, in central Connecticut, there is a professional tag training league, or a place you could go practice. There's a place.
Oh, I guarantee you there is. There's parkour stuff in this area and everything.
Stuff. There's dodgeball, and I'm not talking like gymnasium. I'm talking like professional dodgeball areas where you can go and learn.
Oh yeah, they probably have like something like, I would say probably closer up towards the Mass border and all that stuff, where they have like a club where if you want to try out dodgeball, that you can. There's actual sign-ups for area dodgeballs in your area. They always suggest that you start off as a solo person, try to do pickups, where you go into a place, and if you get picked up into a game, you get picked up into a game. If you don't, you kind of like get to catch up more of like how the rules fall into place, because every gym is going to have different rules. From what I've read and everything else like that, they'll have different house rules.
Which makes sense. Do you think there's a scouting in dodgeball?
Oh, probably.
Or in tag?
Oh, I wouldn't guarantee. I would guarantee it. Like people, different teams trying to find new talent, because you're always going to be aging in and out of whether you can play or not. Injuries, all that stuff. They're always looking to bring people in.
Now imagine that being your job, your sole job, your day job is to go around the country, going to amateur dodgeball tournaments, looking for the best striker or the best chaser.
Hey, they get paid to do it. That's the best way to do it. Find something that you enjoy.
It's just not something that the average person thinks about.
Oh, no, God, no. It's definitely not the same average Joe would ever think about. Average Joe. Look at me.
Well,
referencing.
It'd be fun. That would be a good Thanksgiving story. You come home, you know, haven't seen you in a while. What have you been up to? Yeah, well, I'm a professional dodgeball player. I
Oh
won
yeah.
2 gold medals, and I've won the world MVP, 3 times.
Oh yeah. It would definitely be interesting.
Story time,
Oh
that's
yeah.
for sure.
It definitely
Cool.
would be. But until
So,
next time and everything else. But next time we are actually going to be doing wrestling. So if you guys are into that type of thing, catch us on our next episode. We'll be having a guest or two stop by, and we will see how the wrestling world works out.
and just to clarify, in case those are interested, what kind of wrestling are we talking about here?
We are talking not about Greco wrestling like you see in the Olympics and everything else. We're talking WWE style wrestling and more like the ECW types. The one individual that we will be having bring on, he's been doing wrestling, I'd say, for at least 20, 25 years. He's been inside of the business. Like, he's been doing it a very long time. But we'll get to that. I am Dave Bob.
I'm,
Pieces.
I'm Steve. Thank you all. Appreciate it. Until next time.